And welcome back to another episode of the Carlos Taco Show. We're your hosts. We got Miss Patty, we got Mary, we got me, and with us tonight we got Miss Dominique King. How's everybody doing tonight?
Hi. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. And I want to apologize first because I know I was supposed to be on a Thursday, but the meeting ran long and I kept looking at the clock. And so, but thank you for bringing me back.
No, we understand. You are a busy woman, and we love that about you. Where there's happenings in the community, you were there. So you're doing the work. And so we're happy. We're excited to talk about it.
That's right.
All right, everyone. Thanks y'all for joining us. If anyone's out there, our Thursdays, 8 p.m., interviews with amazing community advocates, leaders, folks in our community that are doing amazing work, and we want to uplift them and share out happenings and what we can do to support amazing leaders. So, Miss Dominique, let's start off with, what's going on in the city? Let me go through my list. Yeah, what's going on in the city? Like, it's a lot.
What's not going on in the city? Well, some great things are happening in the city right now. So I don't know if you're aware, but we just had the STEM event, the first of its kind here in the city of Antioch, put on by STEM for Real and New Generation Equity. I love to see it because the city of Antioch, we're such an eclectic group. And so when we're talking about how do we start to advance and really bring out the brightness of our city and reach our youth, this was something that I was so excited to see. I actually sat on the ad hoc committee for the Parks and Recreations. That's who oversaw handing out the civic grant engagement, which was $50,000 to various organizations, whether it was nonprofits or businesses that wanted to see positive, wanted to have events that had engagement for the city at large. And this group, New Generation Equity and STEM for Real, were actually recipients of some of that money. And they put that towards the STEM event that they put on. So proud to see that in the city. Also right now, and I don't want to miss out on anything, Starbucks is coming to Contra Loma. They talked about that at City Council. We also had the Just Cost draft, another draft make it through.
Yay!
And I'm really proud to see the bipartisanship happening on the city council level, usually on the diocese. And I know we hear them say it all the time. We don't always get along, but, and there's something after that. But to really see them working and sometimes interchanging their opinions and thoughts, trying to push this forward has been interesting to watch. And then we have, if you're a disc golf fan, that's moving from Pruitt Ranch to Country Manor. That was a long discussion in Parks and Recreation. And so, there's just great happenings. New businesses are coming to the city of Antioch. I love that we're small business heavy here and we're proud of it. And so I'm really glad to see that happening. And so, just lots of things.
Thank you. Oh,
and the last thing I want to say, there is an appointment open for the Mosquito Commission. And that's a big issue right now.
Okay.
So that is of interest of you. Please be putting in your applications for that.
Do they need any special background, experience?
No, I think the number one thing they always have to remember, if you are a concerned citizen and there's a commission that you think you want to be a part of, go put your name in the hat.
I love it.
The Mosquito.
I love it. And y'all, commissions for community, there's different commissions within the city that oversee different happenings. The most recent one that I'm a big fan of is the Police Oversight Commission that got established. But aside from that, all of these commissions oversee decisions being made, right, in different departments.
Absolutely. So we have a sales tax commission, we have a planning commission, we have Parks and Recreation Commission, we have the police oversight commission that's just happening right now. There's another one, and there's a mosquito commission that's coming. And then one of the things to note with Parks and Recreation, we're actually under our umbrella is the bicycle. So we actually are going to start talking about how do we improve our bicycle and pedestrian friendly
Mhm.
traffic or infrastructure.
We designated a whole lane, right?
I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, Carlos.
Yeah, so the conversations are happening. So Parks and Recreation meets every third Thursday, 7 p.m. So come out and, really whatever are your concerns, ideas. And what I tell people all the time, don't just come to talk about what the problems are. We love that. We want to hear that. It's a platform to do that. But if you have ideas, and share those too, because it takes a community to really build a city. And so if you have something, come show up and say, and still talk to us about it.
Yes.
You
yes.
get 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, good to know. I do have some ideas, and I'll bring it for sure. Now that I know, thank you.
Okay.
Third Thursday. Okay.
Third Thursdays, 7 p.m. for the Parks and Commission meeting.
And
Absolutely.
you'll be able to come and see us right after the meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang.
If it
Right?
doesn't go too late. If it doesn't go too late.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay. Mary, you want to take off the next question?
Sure. I'm right on it today. I get the best question. I get to say, tell us about yourself and your family.
Oh, now I get to brag.
Yes, that's my favorite part.
So, I like to say that, and as a woman, we lead with our family, and we're proud wives and we're proud mothers. But first and foremost, I am an individual, so I am a proud African American Romani woman. I am the chair for Parks and Recreations. Like I said, I'm the CIO for the Oscar Grant Foundation. I also sit on the NAACP on their executive board, a part of their educational committee. I'm an educational advocate within Contra Costa County. I love doing work right here in Antioch. What else do I do? I've also been the lead for Moms Demand Action, but because I'm running, I've had to step down, and I'm searching for a replacement. There's some great, phenomenal women that want to take the lead on that. So I'm looking forward to the discussions. I'm probably going to leave something out, but where I like to say is like my heart is I am a proud wife. I am a proud mom. I have 3 beautiful children, 2 of which attend Antioch Public Schools.
Okay.
Oh.
I love it. And y'all, Miss Dominique here, her family, her as a whole, they're a unit, and I love seeing that in the community. And leadership comes in different forms, but just your presence there, and speaking when you needed to speak, and just being present, and just being there. I've seen you in churches, I've seen you in local healing circles, I've seen you at the park event for the STEM city councils. Like, this is what we need. And so I'm going to thank you again for just taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're busy. And the Nike Collective, you are such an inspiration.
Thank
God
you.
couch sometimes to just, what do you say? You say find your
dirt and connect. And really what that transitions to, whether we're talking about health and wellness or we're talking about our community, I'm very intentional about what I do. And so while it's a lot of moving parts, I'm really interconnected, and they all connect in some way, and it all comes back to public service. And so that is my dirt, and that is where I connect. And so I tell people all the time is, find your dirt and connect. And then a part of that, so that moves into something that I did forget. I am a small business owner. My husband and I run Lean In with the Kings, and our newest collaboration is with Nike. And so we put on community runs in the city of Berkeley. And what my hope is to bring the infrastructure for something like a Nike to come to our city and to do some of that community engagement. And so we have community runs that happen every Saturday at 9 a.m. And so every morning as a family, we're out there running and walking. And so, yeah, it's just been a beautiful family commitment to really engaging and talking and having discussions around what it means to be married, what it means to have a family, what it means to be a part of your community, and then what is wellness overall. And so, yeah, it's just a beautiful connection of all the pieces that we do.
Yes, yes.
Nice.
And you're making it happen. And so we're excited. We'll get to your campaign kickoff later in the convo, but this is what leadership is. Okay.
I have a quick question about Nike. Why would it be important for a city like Antioch to bring a company like Nike in to do these runs? Besides, I understand the community piece of it. I just don't understand the corporate piece of it.
So when we're talking about, not just Nike here for running, but when you look at Antioch, do we have a shoe store here?
We have
one little one.
King.
Nope.
Chic.
Oh, it's gone now, huh? It's gone. Then we don't have one.
So when we're building our community,
but we do have one. We have we have Champs.
Okay, and where is Champs located?
Brentwood.
Champs is located in
Brentwood.
by Target in
Brentwood.
Antioch on Lone Tree. It's not Brentwood.
That's Brentwood.
Damn near.
No, that's Antioch. It's a block from my house.
I know. They still consider it Brentwood. So when you get to that Antioch sign, then that's Antioch.
Right.
When we talk about our city and we look at our infrastructure, ask yourself, what is in my city that makes it home?
Right.
What is in my city that will rotate my dollar? What are the main pieces that create a part of my city?
Oh, that's what they're doing. They're putting it by Brentwood because they know that Brentwood will come and shop in Antioch if it's right on the border. We need to have it.
Here's what we
don't have to drive.
Yeah, and here's what we haven't done.
Okay.
We've given ourselves our money we've pushed everything to the part of Antioch where we're like, this is new, this is shiny, but we've left behind our District 1 and District 2. District 2 is the original business district. It was the heart, right? And our downtown area. And so when we're looking for progress, we need progress deep within our lines of our community, within our city. So when we look at something, we know for a fact, no, this is Antioch. This is ours. And that's a part of restoring that sense of pride. And so when I say we need things like a Nike, could it be another shoe store? Yes. But I happen to partner to collab with them. And in the community,
I want them to put a plus size store downtown. I think that would be great for Antioch.
I second that.
So just when I say that, I say, look at our infrastructure. What does it mean to create our city? And what are the small pieces that say, this is my home? We have some of the best outdoor space.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do.
Antioch has done a phenomenal, and there's a question that's going to come, and I'm going to talk about this. What I love about my city, right? What I love about my city is one of those reasons is we have a beautiful balance of urbanization and nature, right? So 1 minute you're in the bustle of everything happening. Ride your bike 10 minutes, drive 10 minutes. Maybe the walk is a little bit longer, but you can find yourself in the regional parks. Interdispersed between where we live, we have trails, right? We have walkways. Right. We are immersed within our nature, and that's the beautiful thing about our city. And so something like a shoe store that has the right gear for you to get out there is important. So that's one of the reasons why I say it.
All right. That's a great answer. We needed that answer because it wasn't at the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's in the details.
Maybe in some way Nike would give back to the community in YMCA programs or sports and youth, making it more accessible and available. And I don't know, something for Antioch. Antioch there's something that Antioch needs, and a big part of that is healing. And then with healing comes physical fitness is a part of healing.
Yeah. And my role, if elected, if and when elective, is we're policymakers, right? The policies that we create and that we trust those like our city manager, our chief, our police to execute. We then have to, when we're scoping that, what are we putting in that? What are we determining is when businesses come here, how are they going to reinvest in our city? It's not just simply that small tax revenue that comes here. What's the overall investment? And so I think that is a question that we are developing as we grow from being this small town community into this this really bustling urban city.
And for a minute there, we were doing that, but we didn't know what to do after we got it started.
You said it, not me.
Oh, it's true. It's true. We started for a minute, and then everything started. I mean, even in shiny part of Antioch, I mean, it's pretty ghost town out here too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Well,
not.
I think you have to prioritize. You have to think long term. And one of the, we all have an idea, and so
Yeah.
when we come out and we campaign and I like to say there are some people that are campaigning that are promising you pizza every Friday. And there's some people that are campaigning that are able to pull the vision out and really look at the long-term scope of what's going to happen with the city.
Right.
And I think that it's time that we continue, because I think we're on a path of it. I don't want to, what's the right word that I'm looking for? I don't want to take away of the work that's been done. But I think that the more we put leaders in positions, and I believe that I'm one, that we pull back and we're looking at the vision from a larger scope, the more that we'll be able to get done over time. Like I look at things like our water park.
Yeah.
We're only now making the investment, which is a huge investment, to rebuild the infrastructure within that water park, where that should have been thought about when they were first creating this idea and implementing and building, right? So now we're backtracking, and those are funds coming out of our current budget, which right now we sit, and I don't want to be wrong about this, but we're somewhere between a $10 million and a $15 million deficit.
Yeah. I wonder what they did with the Melrose.
Ooh. Are there audits, right? Audits can look into all of these things at some point.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't realize is that Melrose, even when we're talking about schools, right? The Melrose is only in play for the old part. Like there are some parts of Antioch that never even have to touch that or buy into that. It's the other parts, the older parts that have paid or still paying or carry the weight of that. And so, like I said, it's about taking it from a small visual and this right now in front of me and really looking at what's the sustainable. What will be the future? How am I building the bench or setting it up for the next person to come in?
Right.
Transitioning to another question, like you have a vision. You have these parts and understanding of the functions of the city and the needs. What's your vision for a better Antioch, and then maybe for the youth? Because we're mothers, a father here. We have little ones, and we want to make sure that their future is secure and safe and loving, and with as much resources as available. But what's your vision for our little city?
So what I want to first do is I want to switch that around.
Okay.
Because what has happened too often is our youth have been the afterthought. And we need to start putting them at the forefront of a lot of decisions that we are making, because a large percentage of our youth will never leave Antioch, or they will leave and come back home. So if we're not pouring into them at this stage, then we are setting them up for failure later. And so what I would like to see is us implementing, we have a community center, a beautiful community center on Lone Tree across from Deer Valley. But the students and the youth that need the most access to it live in District 1 and District 2.
Yep.
I would like to see if we had a strategically placed other community center where our youth could go to be able to have those services and those outlets in place. I would actually like to see a sporting complex, an indoor sporting complex.
Yeah.
Now I can't move, I don't get to say what and what, but in District 2, we have a mall that already, if you've ever walked through that mall, which I do, and there's some wonderful businesses that are still there, but they're geared towards sports. We have karate, we have gymnastics. I think there was indoor soccer at one point in time. So there's already, the community has come together without those in leadership and have created this haven. And in leadership is just, maybe they haven't had the opportunity or haven't been over there, whatever the reason is. I don't want to say what and what not. But where we lack in leadership to provide, the beautiful part about community is they will. And so if we could pour into that and create those spaces, I would love to see that for our youth. As
Mhm.
a whole for our city, you're going to see this. Every campaign is going to have it on their website. They're going to talk about public safety. They're going to talk about infrastructure. They're going to talk about, mental health. But how do we go deeper than that? Every
You
day,
need to make your topic hotter than theirs.
yeah, but here's not just that. It has to actually relate. When you read it, it has to resonate with you, right?
Yeah.
But every day I wake up and every day I'm in this community driving around. And the one thing I know is I'm bound to run into somebody I know. And if I don't know you, we're bound to start with a hug or end with a hug, right?
Right.
But it's listening to the issues and it's understanding that people do have concerns when it comes to the traffic control. But where exactly? Like James Dolan, or when you're driving out at that traffic signal when you're leaving Sylvia's Country Kitchen and people are running the light there, or the turn signal cuts off a little too soon, right? Or if you're going downtown to the Antioch, to the downtown area, and people say, hey, when I come down here, this business is not open as often as I like it. And I make a point to go talk to the business owner and say, hey, why aren't you open often? What is the resource that you need?
They need to have some businesses that are nighttime businesses too, in addition to the daytime businesses, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. So it's
Because
just
everything
like
shuts down at 2.
And it's like you said, it's getting to know and actually talking and then figuring out, okay, here are the needs. What is the policy structure? And what is the commitment to the community that needs to be built in order for these things to be successful? And so my vision, my overall vision is really a community connectedness. We're missing that here. We're lacking it. And
Yeah.
so first and foremost, I want our youth to be represented. Mental health needs to be a top priority, but there needs to be a sense of community restored. When we go to our city council meeting, and if I'm going off on a tangent, let me know.
No, you're fine.
Doing good.
When I go to city council meetings, it's one of the most divisive places that I see. And
Mhm.
so when I go to the right, there's one side. To the left, there's one side.
Mhm.
And in comparison to that middle, those are very small sides. But that is a reflection of our city. So
Yeah.
we have very two distinct sides of a coin. But you have this large middle who just wants to say, Antioch is my home. I like where I live. My issues are being addressed. I'm proud of where I live. We have to connect with the community. We have to connect with that large portion because those are the people when we're going to vote, they know more about where they came from, politics, than where they are. And that has to change. So just in the level of connectedness within our city, that's my vision.
So, what part of District 2 would we put a youth center? Because I always hear about how badly it's needed in the Sycamore corridor, but when I go over to the Sycamore corridor, that
Where
is
would
a
you go?
very crowded area.
Right. So where I'm envisioning is the Summersville Mall.
Okay.
The infrastructure is already there, right? Macy's right now is they left with a 10-year lease remaining. So they said it's cheaper to leave than it is to stay here.
Right.
And so what we have is the infrastructure for it. That area is zoned for housing. What I want to be, because I believe in affordable housing.
Okay.
I believe without a shadow of a doubt that people have a right to tenant protections, right? But if you're building housing without the infrastructure surrounding it, you are setting that area up for failure. Right now, in District 2, the business area is kind of the break between housing. Our school systems right now don't support. If you go to Turner Elementary, when you turn into Turner, that's not an infrastructure set up for a large amount of children to attend that school. Like the pickup and drop off, my daughter attended Turner. You may be sitting in that line for like 25 minutes and shorter because they do a wonderful job getting you in and out. I will say that.
Well, that's good that they have help getting you in and out.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily set up for that. So before we think about housing, we do have to think about the infrastructure that's in place. And so I would like to see District 2 stand in its business like roots and really build that area up and even look at what the infrastructure for a sporting complex could be.
I want to talk on the Summersville, right? So there's this disconnect. I worked there. I used to work it was a plus size back in the day, Mary. Choice Fashion. They had the Choice Fashion. They had Choice Fashion Plus.
Yeah, they took all of the Fantastic Plus shops out. I can't find a bra anywhere in our city.
Dang
And
it.
I know I'm not the biggest woman here.
So what I've noticed is that you're absolutely right. There are organizations that have taken it upon themselves to be there, and one of them, Beat the Streets, is one.
Tracy.
Yes. And then you have all the gyms, the physical, but there's also a lot of empty closed shops now. Absolutely. When I see that place, I'm like, oh my God, this could be like a full on resource space for our community. And there could be a set transportation systems just there. Now, what the disconnect that I want to talk about is when I went in to speak to the nonprofits at one point, they have the, what's that called? Like the map, the list of, and that organization wasn't even listed on there. And I'm like, wow, so whoever's managing that doesn't take the time to care and put these existing organizations, update the damn table, the little sign. Why not? I mean, it's just disrespectful to the organizations that are there doing a lot of work, in my opinion.
I agree.
So, I thought Carlos was going to add something to that.
Oh, he's
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Round 2.
How's that? Is that better?
Yes.
All right. My bad. I'm all. No, I was just thinking out loud. I know, and I guess my expression showed it'd be a good place for a nonprofit another nonprofit organization that's coming up soon. We'll talk.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of that nonprofit organization, I want to talk to you off the clock about an idea I have.
All right.
Sounds
good. We want that in District 2.
Okay.
We'll tell you about it at the end.
Okay. So the disconnect that you're speaking of is very real. And this goes into intentionality when people are coming into our city to make money off of our city. It's about aligning and saying, here's our expectations. And it's even in how we represent ourselves as a city. So if you're coming into a city that has expectations, you're going to upkeep the expectations, right? And so this even goes into when we talk about our corporate landlords. What are their expectations? Where are we holding them accountable? What have been our efforts to actually intentionally, collaboratively work with them? And so I don't want to speak to what city council members are doing because I don't know, and I don't want to pretend or that I do know. But really what I'm looking for as a community member is the engagement piece. How often are you meeting with them? Is there transparency when you're meeting with them? What is the line in the sand of expectations? Because what we know is corporate landlord, or they can afford, or I'm sorry, not corporate landlords, that's on the housing end. Commercial landlords, right? What we know is that here in Antioch, there are many of them that are kind of like, take it or leave it. It is what it is. And our small businesses are having to overcompensate for a lot of the issues, which means the turnover for small business is going to be very high over time. And so what I would like to have is just better lines of communication. I know that they actually put plans. I know that they actually put plans on the table previously of trying to do all of these upgrades. My question though is, number one, what was the breakdown in that happening? Why did it not happen? Were they keeping in mind the people that were there? Were you planning on allowing the businesses to come back, or were you just going to kick them out and bring new businesses in? So what was involved in that conversation, and then reigniting? I also know that a lot of our commercial landlords are getting older. A lot of the property that is owned in Antioch is generationally owned, right? Like, so it's been for a very long time. So is it that the next generation really doesn't want it and they're holding on to it just until some big payday comes? Or is it the corporate, the commercial landlords that are there now are just, maybe they're older and really don't want to put the time into it? What are the issues that we're having? And so that just takes a lot of open communication between members of city council and those property owners.
Yes. No, and that's a real thing. The landlords, I mean, I do community engagement and with Monument Impact part-time, but the pictures, the experiences, the health hazards, the trauma, the fear of potentially becoming homeless is very real.
Mhm.
And there is no process. What I'm learning is that we've put these policies into place, but for instance, the anti-harassment, okay, rent cap, but somehow rents are still going up through loopholes in utilities, and then folks are still facing forms of harassment like nails in tires, being threatened with eviction if like their children chalk on the sidewalk, or saying things like, "Oh, you can't have guests; you will be evicted." Like it's pretty like, and so we're working on documenting and just hearing all the families and tenants' stories, because otherwise it goes untold, and it's important to shed light on it. And I'm glad that you're aware of that, and that there needs to be better communication from all around.
And we have to buy in. We can't. I want to, because I believe housing is a universal right.
Mm. Mhm.
But and I don't want to put a but, because that then just erases everything that I said. I want to expand upon the conversation.
Mhm.
We have to keep in mind every stakeholder that
Mm.
is a part of the process.
Mhm.
Because if we're not building relationships with our landlords, right? If we're not incentivizing them and reward and building up a rapport, or even our policies are reflecting for them to have some, you know, for them to feel like there is an incentive. I want to do this. I can continue doing this. We have to look at everybody, right?
Mm.
We have to bring everybody to the table and really have those conversations, because what we're going to be left with is a lot of people that have the potential to maybe want to buy and rent, but they're afraid to. And so, and there's a conversation that goes around, well, if you're doing the right thing, then you don't have anything to worry about. But there's an education piece that comes with that. So how are we educating them so that they understand what is on the table, what they're signing up for, what they're responsible for? And so that's just a part of, like I said, that community connectedness,
Mhm.
having those conversations, building open lines of communication, and then pulling the vision together instead of all of these separate pieces, and everybody thinks that their way is the right way. And so it's just engaging everyone in the process. And even the homeowners. I'm a homeowner, right? I want to know that my renters, I want to know that we're all on the same page in my community. And
Mhm.
that if I can be a resource or help them, whether they're a renter or a fellow owner, that
Mhm.
I'm in community with them and that I can be there and help them if I can.
Mhm.
So it's just there's great work happening.
Mhm.
I just want to see us at the end of it.
Mhm.
It feels like a community process.
Yeah, no, a process for sure.
Not
Um,
a long one. I don't want it to be like 10 years.
ah, right? Okay, let's move with some urgency, right?
Let's move with discernment, but let's
Okay,
not procrastinate.
right. Okay. Okay, I have a question about communications and the environments within the school district, the city. It's like I don't know, there's just a big disconnect between the city, the school. Is there a way that you think that the school and the city can unify and be on the same page? I've asked this before, and I was told no, they're completely separate. But as a city, I just it would be more effective if everyone was just synchronized together, working together, because then you end up with maybe some hostile environments that have come up recently with staff members and victims coming forward. How do we protect like folks that are working and experiencing this? Can the city step in? Can there be some connection to hold people accountable, or just overall improve the standards, the work standards, and the ethics? What do you think? Can it be done?
So there's 3 parts of what you're asking me, and so
Okay.
I'm gonna try to, and if I miss a part, remind me.
Okay.
So the city and the school district are 2 separate
Mm,
entities, right? And you said something. You said, "Can the city step in?" And I'm gonna say no,
mm,
right? And the no is the legal term, but I'm saying no personally because we should not take the responsibility out of those elected officials that sit on the school board's hand,
mm,
right?
mm,
So if there is a decision that needs to be made as to what is happening right now within the AUSD, then we have to both respect the process
mm,
and respect and hope that those board members are doing both the morally right thing as well as the procedural, the procedure, doing following procedure in the right way,
mm,
right? So I don't want to say let's move the buck to somebody else to take care of this issue, right? The other part of what you said, is there a way for the city to partner with the school district or in the school board? There's a standing committee that meets
mm,
between the city and Antioch Unified School District, and it hasn't met in a while. And so where I want to pair this information, right, where I want to like pair it, the AUSD just had an equity audit that was done by Incust. And I wrote down because I don't want to miss the letters and rearrange them. So Incust is the National Center for Urban School Transformation. And they have 18 years of research and work within what they do. And so it is the first of its kind that came to AUSD. And what they did was perform an equity and excellence audit.
mm,
And what this audit did was it went to all schools, all 24 of the schools, and it based this audit on the culture, the curriculi, and the overall instruction. And within those 3 areas, it obviously went even deeper, right? So how do the kids relate to the curriculum? What is the overall culture of the district? And what is the culture within these individual schools? And then the instruction. How are teachers, educators relaying the instruction? Which ways, what tools and resources are they utilizing? Is it beneficial? People, as a parent, I was absolutely excited, and I had the pleasure of being a part of one of the interview process at one of my daughter's schools. The concern was, is this audit coming in and they're going to speak to all the things that are bad about our school district? And that wasn't the case. What they were going in to do was to highlight what are the strengths? Where are we starting from? What are all the great things that are happening? And then what are the areas of concern? Where do we need to be working? Where do we need to structure resource at to pull them from here to here? And one of my issues when I ran for school board was I don't want to celebrate failure anymore. I don't want to celebrate the fact that we're not meeting the needs of our students, right? Because whether you're moving 2% or 50%, if your scale is still failure, that's an issue for me, right? And that's not against students, and that's not me being hard on teachers. That's me saying that there's something in this circle that's not working, and I'm tired of saying, oh yes, this circle is working. I want to remove the circle and we need to do something different, right?
yeah.
So with this audit, they came in, they did this audit, and right now there's a commission that meets that's really unpacking what the information was. But how this relates to the city. With this information that they're able to gather, they can then meet at these meetings, these commission meetings, and really dive into it. This is what we're facing in our district with our youth. This is what's happening in the culture. This is what's happening, how they're relating. The city can then use that information, and this is a small piece, use that information to then structure what programs are we going to create in our city for our youth? What are we going to offer our youth as recreational outlets? What are we going to highlight to bring the youth to our council of teens that's going to interest them? How do we put in place economic resources to families, right? Because 77% of the youth within the AUSD are classified as socially, economically disenfranchised. 77%, I think from the last time, I think it was about 77%. So how do we take this information that we know, bring it into this commission meeting, or bring it into this committee meeting, and then take that and create the program and resourcing within our city? That's how that's the big way that we can work with our school district, and a powerful one. So that's just one way that I look at it. Last thing I want to say, unequivocally, without a doubt, I stand with every individual that came forward, and I thank them for their bravery, because it takes a lot. People put their lives, their livelihood, their pride, their ego on the line to speak out. And their stories, because I pretty much met every school board, have never changed, right? So I don't want to victim shame. I don't want to victim blame. I support them. But I also support us putting the power, responsibility, and accountability on our school board to do what's right procedurally and morally.
100%. Good job.
I mean, this is like the man solutions. I'm hearing solutions because there are clear problems, and we can all, this is wrong, but all I'm hearing legitimate, realistic courses of action to make our community better. And for folks out there to know, what is an equity audit? Well, an equity audit goes into data, reports, everything. And those numbers, they come back with the statistics and make an analysis. Why was this important? Because of what Ms. Dominique here mentioned, is the failure rate of students and the lack of quality education was showing. And I attended a number of school board meetings asking for an equity audit, other families as well. And I remember, just the no sense of urgency from the leadership. And it was an excuse after an excuse that they couldn't do all 24 schools, that they were only going to audit 8 of the schools. And then it turned back around like, hey, 100% audit all the schools. Absolutely. That's what needed to be done.
And so we have to give credit to our board.
Yes.
Because they did, when it came time and they said no all, they said yes. Mm-hmm. And they could have easily said no, but unanimously they said yes. And so I always give credit to where credit is due, because it happened, and it's to the parents and the families, the administrators, the educators who pushed it as well. So that's what it looks like when community asserts itself and they say, no, we want this, we're pushing for this, and the board does the job, you get something like an INCUS coming to Antioch. And so, yeah, collective power.
Okay. Leadership. Okay, look, you know this, but in your opinion, okay, what is leadership to you? Mm-hmm. What is leadership to you?
My favorite quote is, if service is beneath you, leadership will always be beyond you. And so leadership to me means being of service. I wake up every day prepared to be in service. Leadership is being humble enough and having the discernment to know that your voice is not the only voice. Leadership is understanding that when I walk into a room, whether I'm in that space with that position, I'm still accountable, right? There's a level of transparency that comes along with leadership. Leadership is being able to say, I'm wrong. I don't have the best idea. Leadership is relying on other people and saying, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I always say, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm the first fool, because I actually believe that, right? So leadership is not just about being the most powerful. It's not about being the loudest. It's not about my name is the first name to sign on everything. It's someone that has the accountability, the discernment, the vision to be of service and to put people before themselves. And so that's what I believe leadership is.
Yeah, so I do believe that um, you would be very capable of breaking barriers in the city. You've already been championing just in your presence and being a voice and an advocate. Um, so, yes. Is there anything we want to talk about your campaign kickoff coming up? Shall we transition to that?
Yes, I'm excited. And okay, so the last thing I would say is this. People always ask, how are you going to engage your community? I do it every day. And I look forward to it. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. Breaking barriers in this city, we need a coming together. And so we have our community members who have generations in this city, right? And I know that comes with layers, and that comes with recognizing what Antioch was, right? But I want us to understand the empathy, the compassion that also goes into that, to recognize that someone's roots, because I come from somewhere that I don't have a lot of roots. And so when I hear people have made this their home for generations, there's pride in that. And so we have to be able to bring that out and allow people to be proud of that, but also make room for the people that are here that are establishing their roots. And so that is where we break barriers, because we're bringing people together under the umbrella of building community. And no, it's not going to look like what it was in the past, because we ain't going back.
We are not.
But we can build something so much more beautiful and vibrant, and not taking away from anybody, but adding to. And so that's where I think we begin to break barriers. My campaign is a communities campaign.
Let's see the beautiful flyer.
It is a community campaign.
Oh, is that my hint? There you go. Bang.
There we go. And
Bang.
so the kickoff is going to be Sunday, May 19th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
And might I say that's the day after my birthday?
Oh, well, you know what? That is my birthday, May 19th.
Hey. All right.
Hey.
And yeah, so it
Nice.
is the campaign kickoff May 19th, but it is a free event. If you would like to donate, and there are the suggested sponsor levels before that you can see on there. But this is a free event for the community. There's a lot of engagement happening in District 2 to bring the people of that district out to this event. And so, yeah, it is a community kickoff. It's going to be good food, some good, well, I didn't say good drinks, but there'll be drinks there.
Drinks or drinks?
Wait.
Maybe a little both. But
what kind of food?
So what I want to do is I want to highlight the small restaurant businesses that are in District 2. So it's going to be an eclectic picking of a couple of different restaurants. And so when we have our list, we'll post that, because I want to highlight each of them. And so District 2 has we have some really good food going on in District 2. Whether it's our Baba V, which is our Indian cuisine restaurant, our Peruvian restaurant that we have some great Mexican food. We also have some Chinese, Korean.
Is there the Afghan market still there? Is that
it is? That's Baba V. The Baba V, yes, it is still there. And so just a lot of different flavors that is a representation of
the diversity
and
of
Antioch.
Oh, I love it.
So hopefully everybody will come out, enjoy. It's going to be a good time. And yeah, that's the kickoff.
Okay, let me throw in 2 cents to our audiences.
2 cents.
Look, time is money. Campaigns take money. There's costs to it. The least that we can do is contribute a little bit that we can. If everybody donated, I don't know, $1, everybody in the city of Antioch, that we're looking at 100,000.
There's about 120,000 people.
Right? It's like
but that would be past my limit. So not everybody.
any little bit helps, especially for leaders that are putting themselves out on the forefront to advocate and fight for this social change and social positivity that our community needs. I'm so excited that we're blessed. We're lucky to have leadership like yourself
Thank
to
you.
take on this challenge. You did. I remember you ran in the school board,
I did.
and if I remember correctly, it was against Mary Rocha.
Yeah, I did.
That was very brave. That was so brave, and I was so hopeful. But it was still a success because you went out there and you tried. And
I will say this. When you walk in who you're called to be,
mhm,
the doors that people think, and even sometimes the doors that you think may not be, you may walk through the door and the like the victory, like you're like, oh, that is not there. But when the Lord presents a door, and whatever your faith, whatever your religion, when the door is presented and you know you're walking in your calling, you thank God and then you walk through the door.
mhm,
The outcome of that is just preparing you for the next part of your journey. And so I am proud of that race. Mary, in her own right, I don't may not agree with all of her politics now, but Mary, in her own right, at one time was a revolutionary here in Antioch. She was an organizer here in Antioch. Her first school board race, of her time, she was actually considered like she was rousing the roost, right? And so we're all just trying to create the change in our own way. I think we just have to make sure that although we have our vision, we're willing to bring people to expand our own and to pour into theirs as well. So
mhm.
I'm excited for the process. No one had to tell me no one had to tell me I run. I wake up and I go to those city council meetings, and the first thing in the car, my husband's like, okay, what would you have done? And I'm like, okay, let's have the conversation.
So let me ask you this as a mom.
Yeah.
When you bring your kids to the meetings,
Mm-hmm.
do they follow along or are they bored? I mean, are
my
they
kids follow
interested?
along.
Because my kids, I'm like, you want to go? They're like, no.
Yeah, so what we have in our family, we have a rule. You have to civically engage in some way.
Okay.
And so my oldest daughter is the second vice president for the NAACP. My other daughter is a treasurer for the youth NAACP. Both are on the East County Youth NAACP.
Right.
Nice.
Nadia actually works for NAMI Contra Costa County, which is, they center mental health. My children are very civically engaged because they understand what it means and what it could look like if they're not. But we also take the moment to honor that they're still children, right? They're still youth. And so when they want to go, they come, and sometimes they can last the whole meeting. Sometimes they can't. And so when we need to leave, we do, but when they are there, whether they're, looking directly at them afterwards, there's a conversation. We have kitchen talk conversation all the time about what's going on in our city because they have opinions and they feel very strongly about certain things. And sometimes we disagree, but it's in the conversations where we begin to understand each other.
Yeah, my older kids are a little bit more involved civically than my younger ones. My number 4, he's terrified I'm going to get shot one day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he's terrified.
I believe that.
Yeah.
As an advocate, I mean, that's the risk that advocates take.
Well, yeah, and it's usually I don't talk a lot.
Mhm.
Well, some places I do, but I don't talk a lot at city council. But when I do talk, it's because I really, really, really believe in it deep down in my soul.
Yeah.
And that's when they get worried because that's when everybody decides that I'm, too left for Antioch and I'm not sundown enough. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And
we're definitely not going back to the sundown, but
ooh.
but what I'm sorry that is the reality because it is a reality.
Yeah. And I usually only talk about housing, like mostly corporate housing coming in and not letting people buy. That's
you were a big champion in the police reform, Mary. You were a big champion and advocate in that. So yes, you were. Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my dad said he felt the same sentiment. Like when I was organizing and helping with 2020, he was like, hey, I don't want, he said, I don't want the KKK coming here.
Mm-mm.
That was my dad's reality.
When my husband was running, we had somebody say that they were going to come protest at our house. Have you had anybody do that to you yet?
To me,
Yeah.
no. I've had people that during my run made some comments, and I guess it's like the form of bullying.
Mm,
But my response when they did it, I was actually at the celebration of life for my friend who had just passed away from breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
And she was passing during that campaign, and I had the beautiful chance to have the last like real one-to-one with her before she went nonverbal. And so when they did that, all I felt was a sense of empathy. I felt bad that this is how they were spending their time, and that they weren't like, there wasn't an overwhelming feeling of joy or being with their family or happiness, but this is what they were doing with their time. And I just was like, I
I know. How do
all
you
of us,
handle that? That's rough.
and all of us, even when we're at our worst, there's like this flickering light in us that gives us the opportunity to do something different. And
Oh,
so I have to lend the belief that everybody has it. Um, People are slow to it. Some people never make their way back to it, but it is there. And so I'm sorry that was and is your experience. I know in many cases. What I want to say this, because I want to not correlate one in one.
oh no, I wasn't correlating
We
one
have
and one.
issues, we have issues with our we've had issues with our police department.
Oh,
But what I want to say this, because I know we're running out of time. My husband is in law enforcement. My
he's a
husband
very nice guy too.
my husband is a little ways away from retirement.
No
He
way.
got into this profession because he said, if I don't, who will? Right.
Right.
And he works in the city. He works in the city surrounding the city where he grew up.
Okay.
There, what I believe is that we have to allow our reform process to work. We have to trust in those who are bringing the leaders to our city to lead.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to continue to hold accountable with the expectation and the hope that they will do their job with empathy and compassion.
mhm,
Right. And so I don't want us, while we have to hold accountable and there are issues that are happening within our police department, we do have to get to a place where we start to focus on rebuilding. And so I don't want us to automatically correlate what people outside the badge are doing and
Right.
then correlate everybody with the badge as doing.
mm.
Oh no, they're not the same. They're definitely different. There's definitely different color eggs in the carton.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think we're doing great. I think we are doing great work. We have some ways to go, but I remain hopeful that we can restore a sense of trust within our department.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do too.
I love
I have a
it.
lot of hope for that.
Yeah.
Higher standards, protections for the good officers, some anti-retaliation policies maybe for those good folks that
Yeah.
are in those spaces. So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
This was a good forum, and we look forward to
Loved
your
it.
kickoff May
Yes. Are
9th.
you gonna be there?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
All right. So please invite someone, bring them out. Thank you for having me this evening. This was everything happens at the right time. And this Thursday was meant to happen.
And where can our folks follow you, continue to support you along your journey? We have, let's see, we're in the month of May, January, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 6-month countdown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Register to vote, y'all. If you're
Is
not
Nick
registered,
running against you? Are
So
you?
no one has put their hat in the race, put their name in the hat with me yet, but I'm not saying that they won't. It could happen.
No, I love it that you get your face out there, anyways.
Yeah, well, I'm
But
out here.
but that's how I met you. You put your face in front of mine.
I'm out here, so
you're approachable,
Right.
accessible, open.
yeah.
That is leadership, y'all.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
Dominique L. King for Antioch on Instagram, Dominique for Antioch on Facebook. Dominique King for Antioch, and then it's at the number 4 on Instagram and my website, DominiqueKing4Antioch.com.
And are all these places have some type of link where they can make a donation for you?
They do.
Every little bit
Nice.
counts.
Well,
And
I'm
for
excited.
the
I'm excited to have you on our city council.
Thank you.
I mean, that would be my dream come true.
It would be a breath of fresh air.
Wouldn't it?
Right.
It would be a breath of noise that we would like to hear.
There's some good they have their great moments up there.
I'm not saying anything about
And whoever's up
Well,
there, I'm looking
just
forward to working with.
specifically.
I'm looking forward to working
Might
with
be sitting
whoever.
in your
They have a
chair.
lot on their plate, and
I didn't
if
say
you
nothing. No.
your solutions added to the mix, man, Antioch is only going up from here.
I'm a
Yeah.
unifier. I think we'll get it done up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks again. Any last thoughts, comments?
Last thought. I always say, if service is beneath you, leadership will always be beyond you. So I live by it, sticking to it.
All right.
Like
Well, you
that.
let us know if you need us to go out and help you get people registered to vote. That might be a good area to reach people,
Absolutely. We just had our first volunteer call. The next one's coming out soon, so join in on the call.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Let's get our steps in.
Oh
So
yeah, I'm
for my
ready.
community, for my community. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Carlos. Tech
Thank
support.
you.
You're amazing.
Oh, I know, right?
Host.
And thank you everybody out there that tuned in. Of course, we'll be back next Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you haven't already, because I've noticed a lot of people watch, but no one's subscribing. So you want to help further grow this. Let's get some subscriptions, some likes, like this video, and tell a friend. And we'll be back next Thursday, like I just said. Thank you, Dominique, Miss Patty, Mary. You guys are awesome. We had some good questions, and she didn't hesitate to answer none of them. I didn't hear one So that's
With
what's
a
up.
long pause and the lip smack. I've heard a couple people do that before.
Right. I didn't hear no well, let me see. It's like this. I didn't hear none of that. Nope.
Good
She answered
job.
every question. Oh, and
Toastmaster.
anybody out there who wants, if you see her on the street, she's very approachable. You go up to her, say hey, and and
Yeah.
tell her you got my vote.
Yes.
Anyways, we're gonna end with your flyer up on here. Just one last time, so everybody can screenshot that.
We'll
We
put
got
it up
some good-
on our Facebook page also.
Yep. And with that, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.